friends who have just joined the webinar right now. This is Abhilash this side, and I'm a project manager in Nurture Talent Academy. Today we have a webinar on the session of basics of mobile application development for entrepreneurs. This webinar is brought to you by Nurture Talent Academy, which is India's first training institute for entrepreneurs. The company Nurture Talent Academy Private Limited was started in January 2010, and since then we have trained up till 15,000 students across 80 plus cities in 250 plus workshops. And our aim is to enable 1,000 entrepreneurs to start and generate 20,000 jobs in 3 to 5 years. For more information, you can check out our website, that is www.nurturetalent.com, for more details. Or you can log into our Facebook page, that is www.facebook.com/starpreneur. Today we have a speaker, Mr. Animesh Jaipurkar, who is the founder and CEO of MH30well.com. He's an entrepreneur in field of mobile application training and development. He is a graduate of G.H. Rai Soni College, Nagpur, and has conducted several workshops for students across India in the area of technology and development. Welcome, Animesh sir.
Thank you, Abhilash.
Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks Abhilash. Thanks for the wonderful introduction.
Yeah.
Good evening
So,
to everyone.
We will have for the audience, we'll have a 1 hour session of a webinar, and after that, after half an hour, we'll have a first round of question and answer round, so that students can ask their questions through chat window, or they can just raise their hand. We'll unmute you all audience, and you can ask questions to Animesh sir directly. Okay, and at the end of the webinar, we'll again have a question answer round, so all the audience can ask their queries at the end of the webinar. And if during this particular webinar you are facing any kind of a technical issue, you can just put that on the chat window. So anybody can put that everything on chat window. We'll reply you back as soon as possible. And make sure you can continue with your presentation.
Okay. Yeah, thanks Abhilash. Good evening to everyone attending the seminar. This is Animesh Jaipurkar. As Abhilash told you, I am a small entrepreneur from Nagpur. I have been doing mobile application development for the last 2 to 3 years, and today I would like to share with you some of my understanding of what the process of mobile application development is, and especially from an entrepreneur's point of view as to what are the various things that are involved with developing a mobile application. It is not just about coding, it is much more than coding. It is about how to understand smartphone market, what are the things you need to consider before you start developing for a particular platform, how to market your app, how to make sure that you are earning money out of those apps. So we'll try to cover all these things in our seminar, and do let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help you answer it. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so these are the various points that we'll be going through. First is overview of the various mobile platforms that are available, like Android, iPhone, iOS, that is there, BlackBerry, Windows Phone. We'll go through what is the advantages, disadvantages of each of these platforms over each other. We'll go through that. Then we'll go through what is the technology requirement. Suppose you want to develop an app for, say, Android. What are the things that you should know? Suppose you want to develop it for Windows Phone 7 or Windows Phone 8. What are the technology requirements that you should know about? So we'll try to understand the technology requirements of each of these platforms. Once we have done that, we'll go for business model of apps, how to earn money, how to earn or how to generate revenue through your apps, and then a little bit on sales and marketing of your app. So these are the major 5 points that we'll try to cover during the next 45 minutes. First is the top smartphone platforms. So what is just an overview of who is doing what, or which is the leading smartphone platform right now in the world. So according to the recent survey Google is one of the top. Google is the top platform for smartphone share. So it has 52.6%. This is August 2012 data, specifically for US. So this is August 2012 data, where Google is leading with a share of 52.6%. Apple is closely behind with 34.3%, but you can see that Google has taken a good lead over Apple. So right now, if you are facing a dilemma as to whether you want to develop an app for Android or whether you want to develop a app for iOS, then these figures might help you in taking your decision, right? Since Google has such a huge share of markets, such a huge share of smartphone market, it is probably good if you start with developing your application for Android platform first. We'll see how what are the different parameters, but right now this is one of the parameters. Then BlackBerry is with a small share of 8.3%. Microsoft, which recently, which since last 2 years is trying to market its Windows Phone, has a very meager share of 3.6%. And Symbian, the Nokia's flagship OS that was there, that is almost dying with 0.7%. So this figure should actually help you understand like who are the market leaders right now, Google and Apple. Whereas probably you can just overlook BlackBerry, Windows Phone, and Nokia Symbian OS. Right. Also, Nokia has currently shifted its priority, and has tied up with Microsoft, where it is launching all its Lumia phones with Windows Phone 7. So that is another part to watch out for. Windows Phone. It has been there for last 2 years. It hasn't picked up much, but maybe just who knows, in the next 2-3 years, Microsoft might come up with something new, and it might provide some competition to Google and Apple. So right now, currently, this is the scenario that is there for smartphone OS. First of all, then we'll go through the Apple OS, Apple iOS store, right? So currently, there are around 7 lakh apps that are available for download on the App Store. So that is the number of apps, and this is probably the highest number of apps across any app stores that Apple has. So 7 lakh apps that are available, and they have been downloaded around 30 billion downloads have happened of those 7 lakh apps. So that's a huge number when you look at it. Right now, Apple has the largest number of apps that are there, and if you see a mean revenue per app of around $8,000, 8,000 odd $. So that means whenever for any publisher who has published the app, he gets a revenue of around $8,000. That is what is there. So as a developer, you might be interested in knowing these figures so that you start developing your app for that particular platform. Okay, and there are both paid apps as well as free apps that are available. The paid app, generally the average price of an app is $3.64. So that is the normal price of a average price, you can say, of an application on the Apple's iOS store. You might be knowing the revenue share. So once as a developer, if you sell anything through the Apple store, then you get to keep 70% of the share, whereas 30% of that share is kept by Apple. So 30% is huge, but you don't have any other option. You have to give 30% of your revenue or share from the sale of your apps to Apple. Rest you can keep it. To register on the iOS store, to register and to sell your apps, you need to pay a registration fee of $100. So that is mandatory. You have to pay $100. That is a per year fee, I guess, and you have to pay $100 per year to make sure that your apps are published and you can sell your apps on the App Store. App Store is one of the best places. It is because it is the only store or the only medium, you can say, from where you can download apps for your iPhone, iPad, or an iPod, right? So that is the only official store that is there. All the other stores that are there are unofficial, and unless you jailbreak your device, you cannot download apps from any other medium. App Store is the only way from where you can download your apps. And this last line that is there is it might be very important to you, but Apple is famous for that the developers of iOS get highest paid by Apple as compared to Android. So if you are developing for Apple or iOS, then there is a huge chance that you will get paid more rather than if you develop it for Google or Android. So that is another point where you can, I mean, in terms of of revenue, you might be interested. Now this was about Apple's iOS store. Let's move to Google's Play Store. Every one of you might have heard about play.google.com. So that is the store by Google where you can download apps for your Android phones. There are around 6,75,000 apps on the Play Store, out of which around 25 billion downloads have happened till now. That is also a huge number, just very close to Apple's 30 billion downloads. And the revenue per app, this is just an estimate, is around $1,200 as compared to Apple's $8,000 which is just $1,200 that is there. Again, Google will also do the same thing. 30% of whatever share or whatever revenue you generate from your sales will be kept by Google. 70% will be given to the publisher or to you. Registration charges is much lesser as compared to Apple Store, which is $100. For Google, it is just $25. So that is a bit of good news. As a developer, it is a good news for you. And one major important thing about Android is that daily there are around 1.3 million Android devices that are getting activated daily. So that's a huge market. Every day the 1.3 million devices are getting added to the market. So that way, if you develop an app for Android, that means 1.3 million people are there who might use your app. So that is a very good thing, and you might think about developing an app for Google based on the fact that 1.3 million people are using Android daily or are using as a new new mobile phone. Even in India, if you see the share of Android is growing. Android phones are much cheaper than probably an iPhone. That's why in India even the Android share is growing daily at a huge rate. So especially if your target market is India, then you might consider developing your application for Android rather than starting with developing your application for Apple. Okay. Recently, there has been some very good news for Indian developers. Recently, as recent as last week, I think Google announced that they are going to allow Indian developers to sell apps on the Play Store. Till now, Indian developers were not allowed to sell apps. They could only publish free apps. But as an Indian developer, you were not allowed to sell your apps. But that has changed recently in the last 2 weeks. In fact, that is a very good news that has happened. Right now, whatever has changed, and also another good thing is that the prices can be set in Indian National Rupee (INR). So you don't need to set your price of your app in dollars. You can keep it minimum. I think is $50. So you can set from 50 rupees till around 10,000 rupees. You can set whatever price. It can be 123 rupees. It can be 210 rupees. So there is no restriction, and you can set it in our Indian National Rupee. So these changes have recently happened to Google's Play Store. Let's move on to the next one. Windows Phone. So just like we have Apple's App Store, Google's Play Market, similarly, Windows has also come up with a Windows Phone Store, Windows Phone Marketplace as it is called, and it is available in 60 countries. It was launched in October 2010, and it was one of the fastest growing app store as compared to, and it has reached around 1 lakh apps. 1 lakh apps are available for you to download through the Windows Phone Store. Again, it has a $99 registration fee that is there. So if you want to sell either a paid app or a free app, you need to pay $99, register as a publisher, and then sell your apps. Also, only 100 apps can be free. So through one account you can sell only 100 apps, free apps. But if you want to sell more than 100 apps through one account, free apps, then probably you have to pay some more money before you can sell that apps. There is no restriction on the number of paid apps. So if your app is paid, then there is no restriction on the number of apps you can sell, but it is only a restriction for the free apps. Again, everyone like Apple, like Google, Microsoft has also come up with a 30-70 revenue sharing, where 30% is kept by Microsoft, 70% is given to you as a from whatever is the sale of your app. And the last one is the BlackBerry app. This is where you can download your apps for your BlackBerry smartphone. So there are around 1 lakh plus apps that are available on BlackBerry app world. There are 2 billion downloads till now that have happened for those. And one important thing about the BlackBerry's store is that it is considered to be the largest, give largest revenue per app, $9,000, around $9,000. That is what is the revenue per app that is generated from each of the app of a BlackBerry. Maybe it is because of that there are many business applications that are available for BlackBerry. That might be the reason, but compared to Google and compared to Apple, BlackBerry has the largest revenue per app. One good thing, there is no registration fees for registering as a publisher for the BlackBerry. So everyone has a registration fee, but BlackBerry somehow has kept a zero registration fee for you. Okay. Now that we have seen these 4 ecosystems, I think if anyone has any questions, please raise some questions so that I'll understand.
Yeah, Anisha, we haven't got any of the questions up till now. So any of the attendees having any of the questions? Yeah, Mr. Raja Selvam is having a question. Raja, I'm just unmuting you as you have just raised a hand. Raja is having a question that what is the minimum price I can put on my Android app?
Android app minimum price, I think it is 50 rupees.
Okay.
50 rupees.
This is the question was from Gagan Narang, and Sir Nikhil Reddy is asking a question that if we build an app, do we have to own a server?
Do we have to
own a server of ourselves only?
No, it's not necessary that you need to own a server. It is not necessary. It will depend on what kind of app you are doing. So if your app is related to something related to a web, where you are using a web API, there might be a chance you will need a server. Just like for a website, when you build a website, you will need a server to host it. Similarly, for some applications, you might need a server which are related to web or web using a web API. Otherwise, there is no need for a server unless, I mean, if your app is just going to reside in the user's mobile phone and probably not accessing internet, then it is not required as such. So it's not compulsory to own a server.
Sir, Ritesh is having a question that the BlackBerry market is going down. Why is the app store of BlackBerry is so convincing with zero fees and all?
Yeah, so it is definitely going down, but it might be, it is definitely surprising, but when they started with a BlackBerry app stores around 2008 or 2009, I think they must have gone with, probably at that time they were not as with this registration fees. I think a good question to ask would be why Android, Apple and Windows Phone are charging so much of money. $100 is not a less amount of money. So maybe that is their policy, BlackBerry's policy, that they want, or they want to encourage more and more developers to come and develop apps for the BlackBerry. That might be one reason why they have kept it as zero.
Okay. Sir, Aditya has a question that how we can estimate our cost of our application.
How we can estimate the cost of our application?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, so that is again not a very simple and straightforward way, but again, just like you estimate cost for developing any software or estimate a cost for developing any website, similarly, you need to find out what are the number of hours that you are going to put in, how many hours are being required. Make sure that you have a hourly rate. So fix a hourly rate, and that can be one way of fixing the number of hours multiplied by your whatever is your charges or per hour rates. You get to know a price of that app. So that is one way. The other way can be to understand how your app is going to help the market or your audience or your target segment. How is it going to help them? So that can actually help you arrive at a very decent price. That is one way. Other way is generally on Apple's Apple Store, the pricing is in like 0.99, 1.99, 2.99, 3.99 US dollars. So that is how the pricing goes. Maybe you can try to price it based on what kind of need you are serving as to as $0.99 so that more and more people are willing to buy your app. So there are 2-3 ways of estimating the price. You need to find out the best which suits you and go with it.
So next question is from Raja, that he just want to ask that how mobile application development is different from a normal application development, normal web application development.
Okay. So Raja, it's not very different from your normal web application development. Again, just that mobile, it's not very different. It's very similar. Just that it is on a smaller device. The screen is smaller, so that's why you might feel that it is something very different or something very difficult. But otherwise, once you get a feel of it, once you understand it, once you have some experience with it, you will find that it is very similar to your web application development. It is very similar.
Next question is from Bhargav. He just want to ask that how he can market his Android app except apart from Google. How he can market his mobile app.
Okay. So for that marketing, I think we should. So we have a slide on marketing, sales and marketing that is going to come in the second half of the seminar. Maybe we can take that question again at the end of the seminar.
Yeah. So one more question we'll take that. Piyush is asking that if he can change the price of his application at later stage. Means in starting he can put any of the price. And
yes. That is possible.
Mm-hmm.
That is possible. That is possible. Depending on, you can reduce your prices. There are instances where you can reduce your price. If your price is like $5, you can make it 0 for a few days and do some marketing related to it. So that is possible, or you can always change it. So depending on the app store, it is there. But definitely, I have seen people changing prices of their apps even after publishing the apps or making it live on the app store.
Right now we'll complete it with our question answer round. You can continue with your presentation and then we can have a second round of question answer. Okay, sir?
Okay, sure.
Okay, sir.
So that was about the advantages of an ecosystem. So we have looked at the 4 ecosystems: iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and BlackBerry. Let's look at the technical requirements. So if you want to develop an app and start developing an app for any of these platforms, what are the technology requirements that you should know about, or what are the things that you should know so that you can get started? So let's go to the first, the technology requirements for Apple or iOS. So this the developing applications for iOS will require that you should know about Objective-C. Now Objective-C is a programming language that has been used by Apple since 1980s, and it is a variant of C. It has been influenced by the C programming language as well as Smalltalk, and this is the language that is used by, or this is the platform that is used by all the Apple devices. So it is very necessary that if you want to start developing for Apple, you should know, or you should start getting familiar with Objective-C. It is very similar to C. If you have knowledge of C programming language, then it will be easier for you to learn this. Then we have the Xcode. Now Xcode is nothing but a IDE. It's a developer environment, Xcode, that comes with Mac OS. And this is something very similar to your editors that you use while writing code. So Xcode is also an editor, a developer environment that is there. And using this Xcode, it helps you to easily create projects and maintain all your projects on iOS. So that is the editor that is there. Then for building the UI, user interface for your Apple application or for your iOS application, there is a interface builder design tool, IBD tool, that is there, that you can use to create good UIs for your phone's application. So these are the three things: Objective-C, Xcode, interface builder design tool, that will help you create a simple application that you can run on your phone. Then once you have created an application, you can run it on an emulator. Now emulator means you need not have a physical iPhone or a physical iOS device to test your code or to test your project. You can test it online, or not online, you can test it on your Mac OS, you can test it with an inbuilt iPhone emulator that is there. Okay, and one of the major requirements in terms of hardware is that you need to have a Mac OS or a MacBook Pro or a Mac Mini. So you need to have it. Unless you have a MacBook, you cannot develop application for iOS, because this Xcode, interface builder design tool, these are not supported by Windows, or there is no way you can run these developer tools on Windows or on Linux. So you need to have a Mac-based PC or a Mac-based MacBook Pro to make sure that you can start coding for your iOS application. Okay, and iPhone is not required. iPhone is optional. You can always test your project or whatever code you have written on the iPhone emulator that is provided along with Xcode. So that these are the requirements for developing an iOS application. Similarly, if you want to develop an application for Android, then you need to have at least a basic working knowledge of Java programming language, because Android is based on Java. Android is based, so whatever programming or whatever application programming you need to do, that will be in Java. So it is very essential that you have at least a basic understanding of Java, understanding of object-oriented programming, understanding of classes. So all these things are required if you want to start with Android development. You will also need help of Eclipse. Eclipse is again an IDE. It helps in easily managing your Android projects, compiling your projects, running your projects. So for all that, this Eclipse IDE is very essential. It is not compulsory to use Eclipse, but generally people use Eclipse because it reduces a lot of complexity while developing applications for Android. Then for Android interface design, you need to know a basic understanding of XML. XML is a very common and popular extensible markup language. If you have knowledge of XML, then you can then you will have ease in developing the interface design for Android. These are some of the tools, droiddraw.org and balasmik.com. So these are the tools that will help you in making your mockups. Now many times it might happen that you have an idea about a particular application. You may not know how to exactly code it, but you definitely have lots of, every one of you must have some idea about developing some applications, right? So to put those applications on paper, these two sites will definitely help you, droiddraw.org and balasmik.com. So here you can just go drag and drop and make some mockups about your application ideas, so that if you want to tell these ideas to someone, you can actually then show these mockups and they will better understand your ideas. So do make sure that you note these two mockup tools that are there, so that you can develop your idea based on these, and you will not require to do any coding. You just have to drag and drop and make sure that your mockups are ready. Again, Android also has an inbuilt simulator, so you need not have a physical device to test your projects. You can run your projects on your simulator on your laptop, so that you can check it out, whatever project you have done, whether it is running properly or not. Okay. And hardware requirement, there is no problem. For Android application development, you can do it on either a Windows PC, you can do it on a Linux, or you can also do it on a Mac OS based machine. So there is no problem here. You can do it mostly on any machine. You can install Android software development kit and you can start programming. So that was for Android. let's see what are the requirements, technical requirements for Windows, for developing applications for Windows Phone 7. So the basic thing is you should have a working knowledge of .NET platform, C#. You definitely need to know C# because that is the language that is used by Windows Phone programming. You need to have a working knowledge of Visual Studio. That is another Microsoft product. It is a IDE which will help you in managing your projects, compilation, finding out errors, debugging. So Visual Studio knowledge you should have. Then for the user interface, there is an expression blend tool that is there by Microsoft, provided by Microsoft. So that will help you in understanding or making a good UI. You need to have a bit of understanding about expression blend. And as like all other platforms, you will have an emulator on which you can test out your projects. And for these tools, any Windows-based machine is sufficient for you to start developing applications for Windows Phone platform. So this was for Windows Phone. The fourth one is for BlackBerry. Now BlackBerry, again very similar. Java is a preferred choice of programming if you want to develop an application for BlackBerry. Java, it supports Java, as well as there are some more languages that are supported. And then JDE is a IDE provided by BlackBerry's company Research in Motion, the owner of BlackBerry. So they have their own IDE that they have created, and you can use that IDE along with Java to make sure that you can you start developing your apps for BlackBerry. It has an inbuilt emulator, and it can, so development of BlackBerry, actually it can run on any Windows-based machine. So there is no specific requirement in terms of hardware as such. So that is for BlackBerry. So this was all about the technology requirements that are there for various platforms. Now let's move on to the technology requirement for PhoneGap. Now PhoneGap is something new. We discussed about the 4 platforms that are there: Android, iOS, Windows Phone, and BlackBerry. This PhoneGap is something different and very useful for developers. Now suppose if you want to develop your application for Android and for iOS, you need to develop 2 applications. Although the applications are same, one application will have code that is compatible with Android. The other application you need to code in Objective-C so that it is compatible with iOS. So for the same application, you are putting in double effort. Suppose you want to develop the same for Windows Phone, you will have to triple your efforts because you need to again write code in C# .NET Framework and run it on your Windows Phone. And if you want to develop it for BlackBerry, then again you need to have something else. You need to code again in Java, make sure there are changes, and then run it. So if you want to develop it for 4 platforms, you have to put 4 times the effort that you would normally put. Now here is where PhoneGap comes to a rescue of a developer. Now PhoneGap is an open source mobile development framework. Okay, so it's a framework in which you can develop applications for your mobile phone. And the framework uses JavaScript, HTML, and CSS3. All the web technologies or the simple web technologies that are there, those are the technologies that are used. And using this, when you develop an app with PhoneGap, with minimum changes, you can make sure that the app runs on iOS, on Android, on Windows Phone, and even on your BlackBerry devices. So that is the power of PhoneGap, that you can develop apps in only using JavaScript, HTML, CSS3, and with little changes, with minimum changes, you can make it run on all the 4 platforms. So that is the plus point, or that is the advantage of PhoneGap. Okay, it has access to device APIs, supports many of these platforms. So it definitely supports these 4 platforms: iOS, Android, as well as there are some more platforms like HP. HP has come up with a WebOS. So for that also PhoneGap supports, and Intel has come up with some of its own OSs. So for that also OS, PhoneGap supports. PhoneGap support is there. And PhoneGap has been, I think, recent in the last 1 year. I think it has been purchased by Adobe Systems. Considering that it has a huge potential, considering that it reduces the efforts of a mobile developer, it has been also purchased by Adobe Systems now. So you should definitely, as a mobile developer, you should definitely look into PhoneGap and see how PhoneGap can be actually helpful to you in getting your apps done quickly or getting your apps ready quickly. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, business model. Right now, all of you might have ideas about developing a app for mobile. Every one of you, I am sure, must have ideas. Every one of you must have the technical knowledge also, so you will develop the technical knowledge to develop the apps. But one important thing that you should always consider before you start developing any app is to see how you can monetize the app, right? You need to make sure that if that app should earn some money or generate some revenues. That is very important factor that you should consider before you start developing the app. So that business model for app you need to see. Now, why it's a big challenge, or why as a mobile developer you will face challenges? Because mobile market or mobile app store market is already oversaturated. I mean, for the same application, there are at least, for the same functionality, there are at least 10 to 15 apps that are competing. So if you are going to add one more app to those, there is a chance that your app will hardly get noticed. So that is the main problem, is oversaturation of apps. You have to develop something really niche, really different, or really something that will that is not being provided by anybody else to make sure that your app sells. So all these factors, you need to consider all those factors. So if you make your app paid, but there are 10 applications which are available for free, which provide the same functionality, then nobody is going to buy your app, and your app is not going to be successful. So you need to keep all these things in mind to generate a business model for your app. Again, app development costs have reduced. So even if you try to spend minimum amount of money, there are always competitors who somehow come up with even lower priced apps. So at that time, again, your app is not going to sell. And as you can say, everything is almost free. So you need to be really careful in determining how you are going, how you are going to strategize about your app model. Right. So the first model is just make your app paid, build a great app, make it paid, and then let's see whether your app sells or not. So that is one of the simplest strategies that I can tell you. Build a great app, make sure that you put in efforts, make sure that your app is something very different, something that offers niche, something that offers a functionality that is not provided by any of the other apps, make it paid, and then definitely if users like your app, if they want that functionality, they will pay for it and they will buy your or download your app. So that is one of the simplest strategies. But the problem is it's not so easy. Building a great app is not so easy. Out of say 1 million, one person can probably come up with a great app idea and make it. So this is not the best business model that you have. So not a worry, let's move on to the next business model. Let's see if that is interesting. Right? The next model is the freemium model. So freemium is nothing but free plus premium. Okay. So you make something good, you make a good app, you add some functionality to it, and you set it for free. You make it for free so that people will at least download it for free, since it doesn't take any money. And once they download your app, they might find that it is really beautiful, it is really something that they need, it is really something that they have been looking for. So they'll make sure that if they really like the app, they might buy the app which has more functionalities or more additional features. So then you make another version of the same app, but make it as a paid one. So that once you have gained enough traction, once you have gained enough users with the free app, you launch another one, another same app, exactly same app, but with additional functionality. So that people are already know about you, they already trust you, and then they'll be ready to buy that app from you, because they have already experienced what kind of features or what kind of experience you have given them with your free app. So that is one way of going freemium, free plus premium. Initially you give it for free and then charge for advanced features. Now these advanced features can be additional functionality. So you give more functionality. So somebody who buys your app gets more functionality. Somebody who has downloaded the free app does not get all the functionalities. Okay. Or you can do something like in free app there is advertisements are there. In the paid app there are no advertisements to show. Also another thing is you make the app for free or make the game for free, and then charge your users for buying any of the virtual goods. I'm sure you might have heard about virtual goods. If you have played any of the games on Facebook or any of the games on mobile phones, if you have played Angry Birds or Temple Run or even the Farmville on Facebook, you might have seen virtual goods are there on all these games, where you pay some money to buy some virtual goods like coins or ships or whatever. You pay money to buy these virtual goods, and then you use these goods. So this money is finally going to the publisher of the app or the developer of the app. So that is another very good idea. You make your game for free, but make sure that you charge for the virtual goods, or as and when the user progresses to the new levels of the game, he has to pay the money to unlock the more levels, or he has to pay money to unlock some more features in the game. So that is the best way where you can attract a large number of people, and then out of those large number of people, some people will definitely pay to buy these virtual goods or add more levels from your game. So that is the way you market your app, and this is one of the best ways. Almost every gaming company is using this model for their mobile apps, for their mobile games. So that is the freemium model. Another model that you can use depending on what kind of service you are providing is the subscription app. So subscription is nothing but for each month you charge for some subscription, just like you have newspapers, just like you have magazines that come to you, print newspapers, print magazines, they are charged on each monthly basis. Similarly, if you have an app similar where users will pay each month some amount of money to take your services, then you should go for the subscription apps. So this subscription apps is generally used by newsletters or online news magazines. These are the businesses which use subscription apps, where each month or for each new issue of their magazine, they will charge the user, and the user can take a decision whether he wants to buy the new subscription or whether he doesn't want to buy. So this is another model that you can think of for your mobile apps. The next is, that was about the business model. The next is the sales and marketing for your app. Now this is also one of the most important things. Unless you market your apps, unless you make sure that they are selling, there is no point in developing the app. So you have spent a lot of effort on developing the app, in making sure that it is perfect, it has one of the best functionality, but still that is not enough to make your app a success. You need to make sure that your app has good sales and marketing, or somebody is doing good sales and marketing for your app, so that your app is actually noticed by the users. Otherwise, without sales or without marketing, nobody is going to notice your app. So make sure that first is use App Store functionalities. There are many a times if you upload an app on say iOS store or Apple Store or Google's Play Store, they run some of the competitions, or they run some marketing strategies or marketing things. You need to keep on looking out for such kind of things that they do, and make sure that your app gets featured by them on the latest featured apps or something like that. So some of these stores have some kind of policy. You need to read about those policies and use those policies to make sure that your app gets noticed on the App Store. The other way is you can tie up with operators like Vodafone, like Airtel. You can tie up with those operators and make sure that if your app gets downloaded through them, you share the revenue that is there with those operators. So that is one way where you can earn some money by tying up with operators. The other way is tie up with original equipment manufacturers like Nokia or Samsung or whatever, so that in their phones your app is already loaded along with the phone. So that is also another very good way of marketing your app, where with the phone your app is already installed, so that whenever a phone is purchased by a user, he gets your app also. That is also a very important thing. So these are probably at a very big level. You have to keep on trying for these things. Also, you need to use social media that you already know. Facebook and Twitter are also good enough. If your app is really good, if it is really addictive, or if it is really viral, if it really goes viral through Facebook, Twitter, then also there will be a very good chance that your app will get lots of eyeballs, and many people will download your apps. So social media, use of social media, that is definitely there. Make sure that whatever app you do, there are many tech blogs are there, many mobile focused blogs are there. Make sure that you get your app reviewed. You send your app as a sample copy to all the owners of these blogs and ask them to review your application on their blogs. This is a very good way of getting some good reviews as well as getting some publicity for your app. So make sure that you search online for these kind of tech blogs, email to them, ask them if your app can be showcased on their blogs, send them some sample copies of your app or screenshots or whatever, and get it reviewed on their blogs. That is one easy way of getting some good publicity. And the final point that I would like to say is innovate. That is what market is all about. You have to innovate. There are many people who are coming up with strategies. So you have to come up with new strategies to innovate. You have to come up with new plans, how to market, how to sell. Based on your app, whatever your app services, you need to tie up with some other some other people or somebody in the similar business that your app is related to, and make sure that you come up with some innovative strategy so that you get more downloads for your apps. So that was all about the sales and marketing. I think I would like to take some question and answers from you. I'm sure there might be some questions.
Yes, sir. There are lots of questions of audience which is waiting, and we'll start with the question of Nikhil. Nikhil has asked that if we have an updated version of our application to upload in any of the Apple Store or Play Store, so do we need to again pay $25 for the updated version also?
No. So under those $25 or under the registration fee, that is for 1 year. Okay. And for 1 year, you need to pay those either $100 or $25. Again, next year, you need to renew your subscription by paying another $25 or another $100. And under that, you can probably upload as many apps as you want. There might be a higher limit around 100, but still, I mean, you can upload multiple apps under the same account. So you need not pay $25 every time.
Okay. So, sir, Amit is also having a question that is there any way we can develop iOS in Windows? Any other softwares which are available in the market?
Okay. I expected that question. So, unfortunately, there are ways like Hackintosh, so you can install Hackintosh on your Windows and then install Xcode on that Hackintosh. So all that stuff is definitely there where you can run a Mac OS on your Windows PC or Windows laptop. But what I would like to say is that when you start developing for iOS, right, so that environment cannot be created probably on your Windows. So it's always better that if you iOS, try to get a Mac OS or a MacBook Pro or whatever, Mac Mini, buy it either a second hand or if you are serious about developing an app or you want to be serious about developing an app for iOS, then it is best that you spend, I mean, you get a Mac for yourself. Otherwise, all these things, I mean, you can try to install Mac OS on Linux or whatever on Windows-based laptop. But I don't think I've personally seen that it doesn't help much.
The next question is from Aditya. He's just asking that any site or any ebook to learn Android or iPhone application development from scratch.
Okay, so best way is both of these, Apple and Android, both have their official developer sites. So developer.android.com or android.com is there, as well as developer.apple.com. So both of these have their official sites, and they are the best resources, I would say. Currently, they are the best resources to learn from basics. It might seem as a, it is definitely a learning curve that is there initially, but if you refer to these official sites of Android and Apple developer sites, I think that is the best way to get started.
Next question is from Devesh, that which fetches more revenue, advertisement or paid applications?
Okay, advertisements or paid applications. So
Yes, sir.
advertisements is difficult unless you have a huge download share. So you have like 10 lakh or 20 lakh people have downloaded your application, then the revenue from the advertisement is substantial. Otherwise, with limited number of downloads, the revenue from advertisement is not very substantial unless you need to have a huge number of downloads for that. And for paid apps, again, it is a compromise, because if you make your app paid, then many people will not download your app. That is another concern. So that is definitely there. But I think it is better if you go for paid app. You develop a good app. You make sure that your functionality is top quality. You are offering something new. So do that and then make your app paid rather than going for ad revenues, because ad revenues are very you cannot depend on them, on ad revenues only.
Okay, sir. So next question is from Bhargav, that how do I rate the pricing of my application so that it's profitable for both user and for himself also?
Right. Yeah, that pricing strategy you need to figure it out somehow. You probably keep it like Apple has a pricing strategy of 0.99, 1.99, 2.99. That is there. I mean, you determine how much effort you have spent, how many downloads would it require for you. Suppose if you price it at $1 per $1 per download, and you get 1,000 downloads, so that's like $1,000. So is that enough for you, or is that the cost of your app? So you need to find out how many downloads you might get, or how many downloads you will require to break even, and based on that you reach. Suppose my app is going to get 1,000 downloads, then keep your price at say $2, so that you earn at least $2,000. So something like that. So you need to see that pricing. Also look out for what is the competitor doing, or what are the pricing strategies used by competitors. So exactly same apps with similar functionality, what are the other people are selling at, and what is their USP? Is your app better than theirs? If your app is better, do price it at a higher level. If you think that your app is not better, they are offering more functionality, price it at a lower level or add more functionality to your app. So based on all these things, you come up with some price, maybe a minimum price initially, and then based on how the downloads are happening, you can also always change the price once you have published the app. So you need to see how, you need to figure it out how it happens.
Okay. The next question, which is one of my favorite question, I suppose. Piyush is just asking that how much is the difference between the Android and BlackBerry application development, since both can be done using Java?
Java. Yes. It definitely helps. I mean, so out of those 4 platforms, all the 4 are different. But with Java, I think you can say that at least 30% of your knowledge will be utilized. So it is like 30% similar. The rest 70% will be different. It's not that whatever code you have written on Android is exactly similar, just you copy paste and run it on BlackBerry. But definitely 30-35% of the effort is saved if you have already programmed in say Android, and then on BlackBerry you just need to probably you can use some part of the code that you have already developed.
The next question is again from Devesh. He's asking that is making apps from website or places like Phone Arena and App Maker, these things are useful for if we launch an application? Phone Arena and App Maker, these are useful things. Do you use it?
Sorry, so he's making some apps using App Maker for Windows
App
Phone.
Maker and Phone Arena.
Okay.
So he's just asking that these Phone Arena and App Maker. So he's asking that these are useful or we don't use it.
Okay. I don't know. I know about App Maker. I don't know much about Phone Arena, the other one that he's talking about. So Devesh, I think you need to, that is okay as a start, when you start developing from scratch or as an initial thing, it is okay to develop with an app maker. But as you move on, you will also figure out that if you want to develop some good apps, some substantial apps with good functionality, you will have to move to these major platforms. The app maker is not going to help much. It's a good start. That is the first step probably. But you will have to move to these platforms and get into native application development if you want to really make some good apps.
Okay. Sir, next question is from Nikhil, that how does the app run continuously in the backend?
How the app run continuously in the backend?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So there are two things. So when an application runs there is always a way that when you close the application, it's still running on the background, whereas you don't know, or you can also force close it. So that is actually handled by the Android operating system or the operating system or iOS. So as a developer, you need not really worry about how the app is working behind, because that is something that you need not take care in your programming logic. So that is actually handled by the operating system on which your phone or your application is running. So if I understand the question correctly, I think it is mostly taken care by the operating system. That is what I would say. As the application of whatever functionality you need to develop.
Okay. And at the end of the webinar, so we have a last question from Gagan, that what are the career opportunities in mobile application development?
Career opportunities in mobile application development. Definitely, I would say the career. There is a bright future for mobile. As you can see already, that all of us are moving from having a laptop or something like that, or we are moving to smartphones. Everything that can be done on a laptop, we can actually today do on smartphones. And going ahead, this market is actually going to grow. There are a lot of people who are going to use smartphones with internet enabled, so that way there is a huge market, and if you can develop your skills any one of these platforms, any of the Android or iOS platform, then there is a huge opportunity. Even today, people in India or companies in India are looking for good developers who will actually develop, who know or who have experience about developing applications on Android or iOS. So looking at that way, compared to say other languages or other domains like say web application or even desktop applications, I think mobile is huge. The career opportunities are also huge. You just need to make sure that you are skilled enough and you know a lot of these mobile development things to make sure that you get a good job.
Sir, last question is from Piyush Jain. He is asking that he has made a couple of applications,
okay,
but he is thinking that there is a lack of good UI in his design. So he's just asking that if
right.
you can suggest him some of the nice user interface design tools for him, so that he can design more of the best UI for his mobile apps.
Right. User interface is definitely one of the most important things, because the functionality doesn't matter as much as how the app is going to look. I would suggest one thing is definitely some good mock-up tools or something. Maybe you can also try, if you are not very good at designing, you can try finding somebody who is say good at Photoshop, somebody who is good at CorelDRAW in designing or developing some good images. So that is what you should also definitely look at. Many a times it happens that you are good at programming languages, you are good at writing logic, you might not be as good at designing. So you need to probably take some help, external help. That is one thing you do. For Android, I mentioned some of the tools, droiddraw.org, balasmik.com, and there are many other tools like that. That is one thing. There are search for Android UI patterns. Android UI patterns, that is what if we can search for, then you will also get a lot of help. online on Android UI patterns or Android UI design. And for Apple OS, I think there are some inbuilt tools that are there that comes with for iOS. It's a very good tool that comes with Xcode interface design tool. You can also take help of that. So that is what I would suggest. And the best is definitely take some external help also. If you have developed the apps, take some external friends help to make sure that your apps are better placed or better looking apps. Abhilash, any more questions?